What is going on, guys? My name is Link7 and today I'll be making a little video about how to use Livesplit and I'm gonna make some tutorial videos on kind of how to get started on speedrunning. So the first thing is a very common question when people are brand new to speedrunning is how do you set up the timer? How do you make the timer look the way it is? How does the timer work? So what the program we're using is called Livesplit. Now you can find the download link in the description. And when you download it, you're going to get it in a zip file, and you simply want to extract that, and you're going to have a folder just like this. Now, most of this you do not have to really care about. All you have to worry about is this, which is Livesplit. So if you double click on Livesplit right here, yes, there you go. Then you're going to have this little window right here. So when you have Livesplit now downloaded and you have it extracting, you start like this, it's just gonna look like this, right? So there's a few things you can do to get started with this simple thing. So the first thing, of course, is now we just have a timer. So I first like to go into settings, and I like to change my start, reset, undo, splits, and splits. So right now it's set to the numpad. You can also have global hotkeys, which means that you can basically split even if you're not clicked into Livesplit, which works great if you use the numpad, because you probably won't use the numpad while you're streaming. However, I personally use keys on my keyboard, so because of that I do not have global hotkeys turned on. So I have start split on space, I do reset on R, undo split I do on left arrow key, skip split I do on right arrow key, pause I do on P, and that's basically all the ones I set up. So then I just click on OK, and as you can see right now, if I'm gonna press space here, then it's going to start the timer, and if I click space, then there it is. So this is already in theory all you would need for a marathon timer. However, if you want to speedrun, we used to use something called splits. So if you right click, you click on edit splits, and right here you're gonna have a bunch of different things. So first, of course, you can do here, let's just do split 1 right here. Actually, yeah, let's just do something simple. Let's just do Wind Waker, because I'm using Wind Waker as an example since I'm a Wind Waker runner. So you just make it like that, and then I can click on insert below, and as you can see, it will automatically make this default settings with Wind Waker. And if I keep adding in, so let's just say I use bombs, and then insert below, and then I just do I don't know, Master Sword. I'm just picking some random ones, and then let's just say Ganon, which is the last one right there. Now that's all in good, and if I start the timer and if I click on space, then it will obviously split. It will show the time I did, and then if I split like that and reset, I will save this as my personal best. Now you will see that it shows me how much I am ahead or behind if I split again right here, and it also shows a live segment of how I'm doing in this specific segment right here. So I'm going to reset this because that's obviously fake. So right now, there's a few things some people prefer to do. I prefer to use icons for mine. So if you double click on this icon split right here, you're going to get redirected to a bunch of pictures. So you can see right here, I just downloaded quickly a Wind Waker thing for PNG files. And you have a bunch of different things right here. So right here, I just have some example ones, of course. If I just click on the Wind Waker, you can see it added an extra space right here. So then if I double click, I can make bombs. I can do Master Sword. Sure, and then Ganon. It doesn't really matter. Let's do the bait bag, sure. As you can see right now, it added right here the icons, and that's all good and fair. Now, there's a couple of things you can do as well, of course, with just this alone. You can make it smaller, bigger like this. You can drag it sideways and all of that stuff. However, now, what I prefer to do is I do not like to use this layout, of course. So you can do a bunch of stuff to edit the appearance, as well as also what information to show. So if you right-click right here, you have an option called Edit Layout. So layout will be the main thing. So right now you will see that we are using title, splits, timer, and previous segment. And the title thing is something that I personally do not use, but I can do right here game name, and they have a lot of games. So if I do The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, it will automatically add the game, as you can see right there. Run category, it will look at all the categories on speedrun.com's database. So let's just say any percent right here. And boom, so it's gonna say right there. And you also have a attempt counter right here. So as you can see, every time I start a run, it's gonna add more attempts to that little counter right there. Now, I personally don't have that information on my layout because well, if you're streaming, you have this in the title, so I deem this unnecessary for the layout space. So you have a plus minus, up and down, so you can move this to literally the middle right here. I personally don't like this, so let's just remove that title. Bam, that's gone. Now, previous segments, timer, of course you want the timer. Now, there's two different kinds of timers you can have. So, if I just add this in between, I usually like to call something called a detail timer. So we click on plus, timer, detail timer. So a detail timer, you can edit in very many ways. However, if I just start this run right here, you can see that this one is just a timer. However, this one will show my PB and my best. So if I just get a gold right here and then I save the gold, you will see that it says best and PB. So now it shows right now what the best I've ever done in this segment was. And this is a segment timer, and this is, of course, what my PB took. So if I split right here, you can see right now that I've currently been running for 16 minutes. However, the segment has only been going on for this long. So I like to have this little information right here. So obviously I would not have the normal timer and detail timer. I would only go with detail timer. And you can edit this fairly well as well. So if I just remove this timer right here and I go into detail timer, you can edit this very, very much. There's a couple of other things that you can add as well. In list, you can have splits and subsplits. Subsplits I personally do not use, and it doesn't work that well with layouts in general. I'm not that big of a fan of it. There's a couple of different things right here. Comparison. I like possible time save because it shows, it looks at how big of a difference it is in PB and best. So let's say you're doing a 10-minute segment and you can save, a few seconds or whatever. Instead of having to always manually for a viewer count how much time you can save, because obviously you're not dealing with these small increments like I am right now, then it's automatically going to calculate it and show it, which I like to have. Information, you also have previous segment, which I already do have right there. Run prediction, yeah, it says right there, displays what the final time run will be if the run continues at the same pace as set comparison. Sum of best, which basically takes all of my golds in total, and so my best right now is 4 seconds. You also have text, title, total playtime, and record. Record will pull from the speedrun.com. However, I do have a better time right now than speedrun.com, so it's just going to do 5 seconds by me. A total playtime is kind of cool too. You can see that I've been basically playing totally for 2 minutes now. Media, you can do sound effects, video, and graph sort of splits. You can do manual game time and scripted auto splitter. These things are very, very individual for very specific games, so don't worry about that for now. For these two, you can have blank space and separator. So that could be cool if, let's say, you want to make some specific space for something in your layout. It's kind of convenient to use. Now, let's go down to what I would have. So I would, for example, do sum of best, possible time save. I would do detail timer. I like to have that on the, I like to have the detail timer on the top. So I would do the top, then I would do splits, and then I would do previous segment, possible time. So let's just do all of these, right? So you have here, you can do horizontal, which I personally do not like, or vertical. Vertical is probably the most popular. From here, you can click on the layout settings, and you have a lot of different settings right here. So first off, if I immediately just go to splits, you will see I only have 4 splits, and it's showing 16 grids. So I can just do 4, okay, and it's gonna immediately make it 4. And there's obviously a bunch of different settings right here. Some basic ones, of course, is that you can change the background right here. This one is a little specific, but yeah, I can change the fonts. I can change what the color is gonna be, if I'm ahead, behind, gold, all of that stuff right here. Always on top, show best segments, a bunch of stuff. Detail timer right here, I like to change it a bit. I like to make people really understand that this is the timer and then the other one is the detail. So I like to make it much smaller, kind of like this. to be like, okay, this is the timer and this is the segment timer. This is the most important one to focus on. I like to make a change kind of like this. Obviously, I would be a little more picky on my layout, but in general, that's really good. Obviously, also I actually like to change the layout quite a lot. So, for example, I have a font called New Super Mario Brothers Font U, this is the timer I use for my actual stream right here. So if I do this, so this is what I would normally use for my stream when it comes to this part of the timer. And obviously you can change whatever you want for the times and text here as well. So if I just change it right here, oh god, I do not like that look, but you can see right here, you can change it to whatever you want, of course. So let's just, as an example, use this, and for times, let's just pick a random one. Boom, we have a beautiful little layout right here. So now we have this beautiful layout looking right here, and yeah, I think the layout is great. So let's move on here. On splits, you can do a few things. The most important one I would say is always show last split. I would always recommend this one to be turned on because I did not mean to do that. Anyways, if I would here just reset, if I would just add another split right here and just make it test, then you can see it's going to make a small separation right there. So if I click on edit layout, I click on layout settings, and then I would go to splits right here. If this is turned off, which some people do, people would think that if this said 5 seconds, but my record is 6 seconds, that people would think that this is the actual, final split, which is obviously not. So I always like to have show. You obviously don't need to have this here if you don't want to. And you can also see, you can set if you want to have that. There's a bunch of different settings right here. You can change how much space you want for each split, background for each one. You can do plain because right now it's alternative, and you can do a bunch of different settings like that. Now, you can obviously also change how big you want the icons to look like. So let's say you just want to make it really simple. You can make it like this, and that looks pretty fine actually. Obviously, you can make the text font a little bit bigger in the settings on the layout and all of that stuff. And then you can obviously set how much info you want to show. Let's say you only want to show seconds, and stuff like that. You can obviously change that too, but if you want hundreds, then you can do that as well. Previous segment, same thing, look, and then you can decide what you want here, and you also what you want to compare against. Possible time save you can do if you want to compare against your personal best, average, or current comparison, which is what I'm gonna do here. Sum of best, pretty simple too, mostly as this, and as well as background color. Now, when you have all of that figured out, the most common request I get is maybe not specifically how does Livesplit work, but more specifically, how do I make it look like I do. I'm gonna put a picture right up on the screen right here, how my Livesplit looks like when I stream. And you're gonna see that it does not look like a normal Livesplit. There's a background and everything. So, basically, if I would just pull up my, my OBS right here on the screen, as you can see right here, this is just a, this right here is simply just a, my OBS for studio, and as you can see, there's no splits on right now because the main thing that does the magic right here is this layout. If I remove this is just how my layout looks like. So I obviously made a layout, and so I made a layout which is the background, just a simple background for my stream. And when I made this background, then I want to add OBS to that. So I'm going to cut quickly to open my custom settings for Livesplit, as well as keep this original one. I'm going to go you guys through step by step to how to make it look like bam, like it is on screen right now. All right, so now I've got Livesplit up, and bam, this is how I see my Livesplit looking like. And you might be a little bit like, whoa, but this is basically how I see it. And if I click Livesplit here, you can see that it's gonna add it perfectly like that. So I am basically making my Livesplit like a green screen, literally. This is a green screen. So how do you set it up like this? So it's actually fairly simple. So if I click here on edit layout, you're gonna see what I have set up. So I have a detail timer, splits, previous segments, possible time save, best possible time save, and sound effects. So if I reset or if I PB, there's a specific sound. You can obviously set up more, like every time you split, you get a gold, everything like that. I like to keep it pretty simple, only have 2. But if I just go into layout settings right here, you can see that my background is a green. Now, this is the exact green I'm using if you want to copy exactly the green I have right there. This is the exact green that I'm using. And you can see that timer is New Super Mario Bros. U font. I'm using Hey Gorgeous for the text for my splits, and then I'm actually using the layout setting for the times because I just wanted to keep it simple. I do drop shadows to make it a little better looking, and anti-aliasing I did not have on because I'm not a big fan of how it makes it look. As you can see, I changed a few things too. So when I split ahead and behind, it's different kinds of blue right here. So it's blue and red instead of green and red like the normal one is. If I go to my detail timer right here, you can see that I perfectly set up the height and the segment stuff. And you can also see that I obviously set up exactly the fonts. So the fonts would be both the same for my detail timers here. With New Super Mario Bros. U. For the splits right here, I show 11 splits when I stream. Always show last split, like I mentioned earlier. Upcoming split by 1. This one, current split background color, you can kind of just ignore this because I'm making it hide by the background color right here. And if you wonder what this is right here, by the way, this blue one right here is, if I start here, you can see that it has a shifting blue to match my background. So this is basically how I would see my splits running, like kind of like this. So if I go back here to layout settings, previous segments right here, pretty simple. Possible time save, basically what I said earlier. For sound effects right here, I use just 2 sound effects for personal best and reset. Not much to do here. You can do a volume mixer. So yeah. Now, how do I make this look like this in Livesplit? Or sorry, in OBS. So let me just create a new scene right here, and let's just simply add Livesplit. So let's just do window capture. I'm gonna add a window capture, and right here, bam, Livesplit is up. So first off, you don't want to capture the mouse, let's be honest. So if I go into properties, capture mouse, turn that shit off. So I'm just gonna make this big now, just so it's easier to see. So right here, you can see that it's capturing this right now. Now, I made the entire background exactly the same type of green. So if I right click right here and take on filters, I'm gonna get this kind of a settings bar up, and I can click on add, and I can add a color key. And if I add a color key, I can then pick a specific color. So I'm gonna click on custom color, select, I'm gonna do pick screen color, and I'm gonna click on my live splitter here and click on OK. And bam, it just made it. Now, there's a few things. So the only thing you might notice is because I have a green icon for decaleaf, that one always gets a bit transparent, because if I keep it like now, you can kind of see it well, but you can see that every shadow has kind of a green. So at this point, you're kind of just gonna have to be picky and change this. So you kind of just, as you can see, similarities and stuff. So I make it a lot more strict, and also smoothness right here. I'm gonna play with it. So already right now, let's just say now, this is pretty good looking. So as you can see, of course, it does make the decaleaf like that, and the icons are a bit worse. Right now, the icons are a bit worse for some of them that includes green, but now it looks perfectly crisp, and obviously now my live split is extremely big. I would never use this big of a one, so you wouldn't even see in a normal layout setting if I wasn't using this strict of a setting. There's one more thing you can do if specifically you want to use your icons. So obviously you can capture the same window twice. I won't go over that now. I don't do this anymore, but I used to actually capture it twice. Just capture the splits by cropping that, perfectly aligning it over the splits, which is very tedious, and then change so I only captured that one a bit less actually. However, like I said, it's a very picky, tedious process. I don't like doing that, but right now it looks pretty good, except that the green split, this looks pretty good, right? And at that point, you can just, apply it to a background, and if you apply it to a layout like I have right here, then you can make it look something like this. So yeah, this is basically how I see my live split, and this is how the viewers will see it, and I perfectly made it up in this box, and that's all good and fair. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for this tutorial. I'm gonna make some other future tutorials, so if you have any questions about anything else setting up, obviously you can see I haven't really made like anything beautiful and renamed a bunch of stuff in my OBS specifically, but if you have any questions about how OBS works, other live split questions, or speedrun questions in general, then be sure to leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try and make some more future videos in this kind. But without further ado, I hope that this answered some of your questions with either how live split works, or how to set it up looking good with a green screen. So, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. So, later guys, bye-bye.